Välkommen till Aktiespararna och den digitala Aktiedagen. Mitt namn är Lars Håkansson och jag har förmånen att få vara moderator här ikväll. Vi ska nu få lyssna på ett spännande bolag som heter FluoGuide som hjälper kirurgerna att hitta cancervävnad. And now I would like to switch to English and say very welcome Morten Albrechtsen.
Thank you very much, Lars, and thank you for the introduction. Yes, so I will just go ahead and present the FluoGuide for you. This is a very exciting company. And what we do, as Lars said, was that we're maximizing surgical outcome by intelligent targeting. And just a disclaimer. And within surgery, there's many areas. One of them that we have started out focusing in on is oncology surgery. And the main reason for that is because every year about 15 million people are diagnosed with cancer, and about 80% of them need surgery sometimes during their course. And cancer recur locally in half of the patient, and that's not because the surgeon are poor in any way, just because it can be very hard to distinguish the cancer from the normal tissue. So really where the cancer stops and where the normal tissue starts is really hard to see. And our solution to it is very simple. We have a UPAR target illumination of the cancer, so the surgeon can remove all cancer the first time. And this year we started last year, but we have the result. Well, we also have that last year, but we have more result this year on our first product, FD1, that is being investigated for aggressive brain cancer, and we demonstrated it to be well tolerated and that it light up human cancer. And with that, we have a very strong foundation. We have a good IP protection. We are listed on the First North in Stockholm since beginning of the year. We were in Spotlight before that. We have a market cap about 1.2 billion SEK. And then we have a very experienced team with a really clear plan, which I will go through now. So first, our procedure is very simple and yet has a very profound impact. What we do is prior to the surgery, we inject the product into the veins of the patient. It will circulate around the body. It will bound to the cancer cell. And during the surgery, the surgeon can switch on the fluorescent light. It will light up the cancer and they can remove everything the first time. And it's quite important. It's one of the things, there's three really important things for FluoGuide that makes it an attractive investment. And one of them is that everybody really likes us. I mean, the patient, obviously, because we remove all cancer the first time or help the surgeon to do it. The hospital, they can save cost on increased treatment and repeated surgery. The surgeon really makes them better to do what they already is good at, so they also likes it. And then last but not least, equipment manufacturers. We are able to get more benefit out of the equipment, and that way we can help the equipment manufacturers either to increase the price or increase the penetration into the market by adding more value to the patients. So the target UPAR we are using to bind to is a very interesting one. It's one the cancer use to penetrate into a normal tissue. So when the cancer have to spread, it will tear down the normal tissue and it will use UPAR system, enzyme system, to destroy the normal tissue so it can spread into it. And therefore UPAR will be extensively expressed on the forefront of the cancer, and it will be expressed on all the prevalent or all the aggressive cancer, which means basically all solid cancer. Three of the most prevalent cancer, like breast, lung, and colorectal cancer, it will be extensively expressed. It's not so much expressed on the prostate cancer because prostate cancer generally grows slowly. But for the three prevalent cancer here, it's extensively expressed. It's also expressed on many of the orphan potential indication. They're more rare, but they have a more severe indication. And it can, for instance, be one that we, with the aggressive brain cancer, the one we started out focusing on. So first, I just wanted to show you an example of a study we did. And here we had a human surgery. We used human equipment. We used a human cancer, but we used the animals on the robot that we use here, the Da Vinci robot. And we asked the surgeon to do the surgery under white light and remove all the cancer. And it was 4 of the subject had additional cancer removed by the surgeon under white light. Then we switched it on the fluorescent light and we asked the surgeon if they could see more cancer and if they want to remove more. And actually they remove more cancer in all of the remaining 4 animals. And it was demonstrated subsequently that actually was cancer by a pathologist. So had it been patients, those remaining 4 patients have been sent home in the belief that they have been cured, but in fact, the cancer will have recurred locally, and other patient had been more severe, been treated more aggressively, or ultimately increased the risk of dying. And this was used by standard equipment. This is one of the things we want to do. So we don't want to use sophisticated equipment. We really want to use equipment that is already present at the surgical rooms. And this we also did here. So high-grade glioma or glioblastoma is the indication we started out with. And it's because it's a very poor prognosis. I mean, there's a huge unmet medical need. 1 out of 20 patients will be alive in 5 years. And it's because the cancer is very invasively growing into the brain. And you really have to see deep into the brain and be able to remove all of it, basically. One of the reasons also why we have selected this indication is because it's the neurosurgeons are well trained to use the technology, and that actually helps us in the what can I say, penetration and sale of the market, because they are actually prepared for using our product and can benefit from it directly. One of the second thing that is really attractive with FluoGuide is that our product has a development path that make it very short to the market. And that's because the clinical trials are very short. I mean, we would do just like the animal data showed before. We will include the patient, we will do the surgery under white light, we will switch on the fluorescent light, and then we take the tissue that has been removed, send it to the pathologist and ask if they can validate if it's cancer or not. And then we have the result of the study. And that will take 2 to 4 weeks per patient, and therefore will be quite quick studies. We anticipate 2 studies for an approval, and the first one is the one we have ongoing right now. It's a phase 1/2 study where we focus in on safety. We find the optimal dose, and then we get proof of concept. And last but not least, we get an idea of the benefit we can provide. So how much clinical benefit can we generate, and the more benefit we can create, of course, a higher price we can charge. The second study we anticipate will be one where we prove the effect and also demonstrate safety in a larger patient population. Our estimate is that this will require 150 patients approximately for the efficacy part, and maybe up to 500 for the safety part. And then we can actually get a registration in 24. I mean, I should say that the 500 patients for the safety documentation can be created across different indications. So it's indication unspecific. And I think that this is really, our clinical trial will be short, simple, and quite fast. So the status of the ongoing trial right now, we had a couple of announcements. Well, we had the first one last year, and then we had also some this year, where we had demonstrated that our product is well tolerated and that the cancer can actually be lighted up by our product. So the first part of the study is a phase 1/2 study. Safety is a key endpoint, as well as finding the optimal dose. And when we have the optimal dose, we move into the phase 2 part of it, where we have the same endpoint as we will have in a phase 3. So that means positive predictive value. I mean, removing tissue that lights up and document that it actually is cancer. And by having that, we have the mini phase 3 study, you can say, and we just had to add more patients, and then that would actually be the phase 3 study. So right now, we had 4 cohorts, and that means 13 patients included. And it's not 12, but 13. I'll come back in a second why we had this extra patient. That's been demonstrated that the FD1 is well tolerated and that lights up cancer. It was not a surprise for us as such, because we have a very strong preclinical package on it. We have done all the tox study we need for approval, and it's been demonstrated that the FD1 is really well tolerated. We cannot see side effect up to the maximum dose we can actually possible give to the animals, and that is far beyond what we need in humans to create efficacy. But more importantly, also it lights up the cancer, so that means actually that it works in humans. The additional patient came in because sometimes it can be difficult for the surgeon to see if it's glioblastoma. And in this case, actually was a non-derived brain cancer. And that actually was good in the sense that we actually could demonstrate that also it worked on this patient, meaning the first indication outside of the brain, which is quite important for us. And the data will come in 21. We have the safety data in Q3, and then we have efficacy data in Q4. So the pipeline, just an overview of it. 51, I mean, the lead is glioblastoma, high-grade glioma. And then we want to initiate one indication, a prevalent indication this year. And then we just very recently licensed in an important technology, and that was a photothermal therapy. I'll come back to that in a second. And then we have product number 2, which is, we licensed at it in the middle of last year, and that's actually undergoing preclinical data right now, and it's to be published very soon, actually. And I can reveal that looks really, really good as well. So the photothermal therapy actually is an extremely interesting technology. Really what we have learned is that our product will be heated up when you light on it. And that means when you have, for instance, a neurosurgeon, they will leave cancer behind in 30% of the cases, so almost 1 out of 3 patients. And they do that because if they remove that additional cancer, it will impair the patients. For instance, if the cancer is infiltrated the center of speech, it will make the patient lose the capability of speech or talking, or it will actually, if it was an center of movement, it will impair the patient's movement. So because of this disability, the neurosurgeon will sometimes leave cancer behind because it infiltrated into a sensitive critical structure. By having this effect where we can light on it and we can heat up the fluorophore that binds very specifically to the cancer cell, then we're able to deep into the tissue precisely destroy the cells on a cellular level where our product is bind to, and that means actually the cancer cell. And that means while preserving the normal tissue on top of it, we can actually destroy the cancer deep into the tissue. And that's really quite unique for many, many reasons. I mean, first of all, obviously, it's very important for the patient that have this cancer in the brain that infiltrate the sensitive structure. But it's also important for FluoGuide in the sense that we actually transform the company for just guiding surgery over to also provide a treatment effect. And last, it's important in the sense that we can charge a higher price for it. So we'd argue for a premium price by documenting this effect. So we're quite pleased with it. And of course, we also have very good preclinical data in animals for this one. This also in a way to be published soon, and also looks very, very, very promising. So the competition and the landscape. If I start out with the 2 products that have been approved for some time ago, one is Hexvix from the Photocure in Norway, is for bladder cancer, and the other one is Gliolan, which is for brain cancer. It's first 2 products that are not specifically bound to the cancer, and they are limited still to one cancer indication. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that they have been they use invisible light, and that means that you can only see it 1 to 2 millimeters into the tissue. The good thing is that they came on the market for about 10-15 years ago, and really been able to start developing this market. Then since then, a number of specifically bound fluorophores have been developed, and that's the rest of those in the chart. None of them are approved today. They're all based on near-infrared light, meaning that you can see them 1 to 2 centimeters into the tissue. And actually that's quite important for the brain cancer, where you really need to see deep into the tissue. Some of them of this product are equipment dependent, and that's one thing we think is quite important, to stay equipment independent, in the sense that we have a plug and play situation where we're not relying on what equipment is available on the surgical room, but just that they have the microscope they're normally using, and that our product is compatible with all the products out there. Then 2 of the products, they are both in phase 3, one for wire cancer and one for for colorectal cancer. And this is quite interesting because they are expected to reach the market in the next year or so, and that will actually be the first products in the 2nd generation products where we are quite well positioned, in the sense that we have the UPAR as a target, which is both very cancer specific but still cancer type unspecific, and that means we can go in on a glioblastoma, a niche indication, and then we can spread out to the more prevalent indications. So the third thing that is very important with FluoGuide is that actually the whole surgical seen is actually being undergoing a kind of evolution. And it actually is driven by digitalization, is driven by the wish of making things small, and also by automation. And that is some trend that is, we actually, not only FluoGuide, but all the products in the fluorescent guided surgery help facilitating this development and really benefit for this development. So while the whole surgical field is moving very powerfully forward with including more technology, actually our product will help facilitate this. And this is also a reason why the equipment manufacturers are quite pleased with us, because we help them to get more of their equipment into the surgical rooms, and also to provide more benefit, and therefore they can charge a higher price for it. So the field that is most penetrated with equipment is actually the brain area. And that's also a reason why we have chosen this glioblastoma as a first indication. The microscope has been used there for a long time by the neurosurgeons. And then, I mean, endoscope is coming into it, robot-assisted surgery is coming into it, and then still some surgery is done on the open field, like in the bottom left, breast cancer. All the partners listed here on the slide are partners we are talking with. I don't think we will have a monetary deal with the brain cancer. It will more be a deal that will help us utilizing the commercial potential. But it could happen, and probably will happen, for some of the larger indications, which is why it's quite important to get studies started there as well. So the market potential we are targeting is more than 5 billion euro with the current plan, and that particularly coming for the glioblastoma, breast cancer, lung cancer, and colorectal cancer. The cancer surgery as such, as I mentioned, quite a lot of patients every year, about 15 million patients have cancer, 80% of them need surgery, and it will actually increase up to 2030, quite a lot in fact. And that's because the screening programs out there are make it possible to find cancer earlier. And the earlier you find the cancer, the more localized it will be, and the more important will surgical removal of the cancer be for the patient. And that actually means, of course, you need to treat the patient both with surgery, chemotherapy, and radiotherapy. But surgery will at least be more important than it is now, because you will find cancer earlier because of the screening programs. So the team behind, we are quite strong and cross-functional team, experienced in each of our areas. Andreas Kjær is the founder, scientific founder of the company. He's board-certified in nuclear medicine at Rigshospitalet in Copenhagen, and actually has been working with imaging, diagnostics, and cancer for his entire life. He did FluoGuide as a spin-off for some of the work he did for the UPAR was in a handful of years ago. Grete is the second in the line. She will take the products that comes out of Andreas' lab and do all the manufacturing and all the toxicity testing that is needed for get the products into clinical testing. It's quite important because it's an area where companies are often getting delays. So to do this properly is really, really important. Grete is very skilled. She's been, for instance, many other companies, but among last year was in Ascentis, taking product from the very beginning up to approval. Next one in line would be Dorte, taking the clinical. And Dorte has both experience within the drug and within the devices. And we are under the drug regulation, but a lot of the things we're doing with the device philosophy, that's why quite important that being able to do both. Henrik is our CFO, very senior, seasoned CFO, and he came into our company in last year, and because we are becoming more and more commercial now. Myself, I'm an MD of background, work commercially as well for many of the large companies, and I'm the interface between selling new products, developing them, and financing them. And I have taken one company before from bench to the market within oncology, and that was Nanovi before FluoGuide. So we have a strong patent protection. The first patent we have is giving us a protection on FD1 until 34. It's issued and is owned by FluoGuide. Then we have submitted some more patent applications. The two mentioned up here on the slide has been published recently, and that will there's coming more behind them, but those two has been out of the 18 months secrecy period, and that's why they are now published. They will give us an extended protection up to 39, and also will be a broader protection. So we expect that we have UPAR used for guiding surgery as kind of our protection, and we feel quite comfortable about this patent estate we are now building. So if I should summarize FluoGuide, I think that we are targeting a large market that a lot of patients have occurred of cancer after surgery, and we have a quite unique technology to help the surgeon and the patient, the UPAR targeted illumination of the cancer. We have a very important trends that is going on our favor, so digitalization, minimalization, and automatization of the surgery. And then the last thing is that we get very quick to the market because our development path is short. And we have already now shown for the first product that is safe and that is light up human cancer. We have some very important milestones here in 21. We have the safety formally in Q3. We have the proof of concept in Q4. And then also we have an understanding of the magnitude of benefit we can provide to the patient. And that will means a lot for the price we can take. And that again means a lot for the value of the company. That's also coming in Q4. Then we will initiate the prevalent indication study in later this year. And that's important because we expand the number of patients that we can target it. And that, of course, again, give a quite substantial added value to the company. In 22, we have some very important milestones as well that really will transform FluoGuide into a late-stage company. We will start our phase 3 study in FD1 in brain cancer. We will get the FD2 coming into the clinical development, and then we will initiate the photothermal therapy development. And with that, I will like to thank you for your attention, and I'm very happy to answer any questions you may have.
For an interesting presentation. I would like to start asking you about how have COVID-19 affected your affair?
Yeah, I mean, we've been quite fortunate in the sense that it has not really affected us at all. In fact, because I mean, first of all, patients with brain cancer is so important to treat them that actually they are a very, I mean, that was one of the functions that were kept going during the COVID. So it has not really been affected us. The other thing is that we have an extremely enthusiastic neurosurgeon. So she just make the surgery, I mean, because she's very enthusiastic about the product and the concept. So so we haven't really been impacted from it. Of course, we could still have some impact on it, but it's very unlikely now. I think it's we've been blessed by that.
Nice to hear. Can you tell me more about the clinical trials and its outcomes and consequences for patients and investors?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. I mean, I think now we have now shown that the product is well tolerated. We have also shown that it lights up human cancer. And that means actually, and we showed in this one patient that was a non-brain derived cancer, and we could actually demonstrate also that it lights up this cancer. And it was really, really positive in the sense that we have taken now the preclinical data and demonstrate actually that it works in humans. So I would say the base case in FluoGuide are now secured. We have a product, we can get to the market. Now the big question is how good is our product, or how much benefit can we create? And that will actually translate into the price we can charge for it, and that of course will impact the value of the company, obviously. So I think that that's why we are very keen to follow our study, because we will take the histology sample as shown for the animal studies. We will take them, we will analyze them, and we get a very good idea of how much value can we actually create and what price level can we go into. But the good thing with FluoGuide now is that the base case is sort of secured. We have a product that is safe and works, but now the question is, how good can it be?
Okay. Can you tell me or tell us anything about the expensive of using these methods?
Yes, I mean, for the hospitals, it will be if that was you mean. I mean, they will purchase the product, and they will pay a price for the product as, for instance, a pharmaceutical or as a medical device kind of thing. So they will pay for it when using it or buying it. But they will, on the other hand, they have potential to save on that. They do not have to repeat the surgery. They do not have to add more aggressive treatment. And that in all is a major potential cost saver for the hospital. And then additionally for that, it could also save the patient's life potentially, but I mean, that will come on top of it. So we have a good possibility to charge the price after how much actually the hospital could save from using our products.
Okay. But have you sold any of these methods yet to the hospitals, or?
No, we have not sold anything yet. It's under development. And even, I mean, there's this compassionate use where a hospital on a name-based patient or department-based basis could be allowed to use it. And even if we go into that, we will not have a huge revenue for it. The most important thing for us there will be to have the safety data for the product. So the important sale will first come when we have the product approved in 24.
Can these methods be used in many types of cancer surgery, or is it just specific cancer?
Yeah, no, I think it's one of the very interesting things with the uPAR we use as a target. That it's both expressed on this glioblastoma, but as well on many of the very prevalent cancers, so breast, lung, and colorectal cancer. That almost 75% of all solid cancer forms, it will be relevant and will be extensively expressed. So that means that we can go in one indication, get quick to the market, and when we are in the market, we can expand into the other indications. So actually, quite a lot of patients will potentially benefit from this technology.
That's good. Have you any discussions with the big pharma, or is that too early in this development of the business?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good question. I mean, we constantly talk with all the partner names I mentioned on one of the slides, and our philosophy is that we should be constantly speaking with all and understand what do they want and when do they want to do a deal and how could the deal look like. Then when this is said, I think that on the aggressive brain cancer, it's not likely that we will get a deal that will give us money into the company on a short term. But for the prevalent indications, it's much more likely that the company will make an acquisition or license on those indications. So yes, we have this dialogue ongoing, but there will not be a quick monetary deal, but there will be deals coming in soon. And we have a lot of potential as there are so many partners, so many indications. So there's quite a lot of possibilities for us to do in this field.
Okay. Do you have any competitors, any competitions in this area?
Well, yes. I mean, they have one slide where I tried to summarize it. And I think that, I mean, as I mentioned, there's two products that are already approved, one in bladder cancer, one in the brain cancer. But you cannot see it so deep into the tissue, which you can with our product, which is a major difference. But I think that actually we appreciate that more companies are coming into the field because it's a new field and it's being developed and established by this different company coming into it. And when this is said, I don't believe that any of the companies, even FluoGuide, will have all the indications. We will have to share the indications between us, and then we will have some of the indications, they will have other indications. So I think that we have a, how can I say, healthy competition, I would say, so we can help establish the market. But we have a quite unique technology with the uPAR targeted, which is both cancer specific and also cancer type unspecific, which is really neat for us in going into the market.
Okay, so if you would like to sell the company to me in just a few words, what will be your slogan?
I mean, it is that it solve a problem for many patients with cancer that undergo surgery, and we do that with a unique offering, the uPAR targeted elimination of the cancer. we have riding on this very nice trend that undergoing in surgical rooms, that we have digitalization, minimalization, automatization that's really helping us, facilitating us, and enable us to partner with a lot of companies. And then last but not least, we have a quick path to the market. We have already proven that our product is safe and it works. So I think we are quite interesting company right now.
Thank you very much, Morten Albrechtsen, for presenting the company FluoGuide.
Thank you, Lars.
Thank you very much.